Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing some technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about what happens if Bitcoin breaks one of, if not the most important support levels in all of Bitcoin technical analysis, that of course, being the big even at $6,000. Bitcoin has pulled back to this level 4 times and gotten support there, once back over here in February, once here in early April, once here in late June and early July, and once just recently in early August, and right now it looks like we may be setting a bottom here, but I want to make something very, very clear. There is a distinct possibility with a decent probability that we do break below $6,000, so in today's video, we're going to be discussing what I believe the effects of that would be, because that would indeed be a very, very, very big piece of news for the Bitcoin market, and it would be very, very dramatic for Bitcoin price action. After we discuss that, then we're going to be talking about some news relating to Gemini and launching something called the Gemini Dollar, a new stablecoin. Not necessarily to compete with US Dollar Tether, but definitely a stablecoin that is going to be working in the similar way as US Dollar Tether. We're also going to be talking about Tether later on in the video as we cover this news story. But before we get into today's video, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, as always, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing the notification bell, guys. We do cryptocurrency videos every single day here, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of them. So let's get right into it. Bitcoin is currently trading at around $6,335. We will do just a little bit of short-term technical analysis, simply because this is a video that most of you guys are going to watch the day it goes live. What I'm currently seeing with Bitcoin is that we did break bearish out of this pennant right here in a very strange and peculiar way. We broke back up into it and then broke straight back down out of it. But what we're now seeing is that Bitcoin is in kind of another pennant right here that we can draw just like this. And as I'm recording this, it looks like Bitcoin is breaking out of this. By the time you see this, Bitcoin will be out of this pennant, and it probably, based on the way the chart is looking right now, will be breaking bullish. I don't expect a massive big move to come from this, but there definitely is the possibility of a lot of price action coming in the next 12 to 24 hours or so from the time I'm recording this. I think that Bitcoin has been trading down here around $6,000 for a very long time, comparative to how quickly we came down here. And I do think that we're about to see some big price movement simply because Bitcoin has just not been moving all that much in the last couple of days. Anyway, let's go ahead and go on to CoinMarketCap and start doing the crypto market recap. Bitcoin is up about 0.5%, about 0.5% in the last 24 hours. Like I said, it's not really doing a whole lot. We do see that some green candlesticks right here as it sets kind of a bottom down here on a really long-term, on two really long-term uptrends actually. And it is starting to curve up just a little bit. That being said, the oscillators aren't looking all that healthy. Stochastic RSI is in a very good region. Normal RSI is looking quite nice. And MACD did have its bearish cross a couple of days ago. Most unfortunate because the bullish cross on the MACD down here is what really kicked off this little short-term rally or dead cat bounce or whatever you want to call what happened here in the second half of August on into September. Anyway, Bitcoin's up about 0.5% over the last 24 hours. And if we sort by change over the last 24 hours here, what we're going to see is that the market is pretty much split. We have some green altcoins, we have some red altcoins, and it's about 50-50. We see one double-digit loser R chain, and we see about 6 double-digit gainers with Waves, Dropple, and Bitcoin Diamond being up quite significantly. Waves is up 30%. Good job for you guys, Waves. Anyway, Bitcoin is currently trading at around $6,350, and daily volume for Bitcoin is also quite low at around $3.7 billion. Typically, you normally see that around $4.5 billion. Like we've said, that's pretty much average, so it is a bit low. And also, like we've talked about, a lot of that volume being low has to do with just the fact that Bitcoin hasn't really done a whole lot over the last couple of days. Ethereum's not doing all that well. It's looking pretty similar to the way it did in yesterday's video when we discussed where I believe the bull market is coming and where I believe when I believe the new bull market is going to be forming. And actually, this video is kind of tied into that video. So if you guys want some more of my perspective on when this Bitcoin bear market that we're currently in is going to be wrapping up and starting a new Bitcoin bull market, then you guys can watch the video in the top right. I would recommend watching that video along with this one because I discuss very similar concepts in it. Anyway, I believe that's basically all we want to cover here on CoinMarketCap. This is mainly a long-term technical analysis and kind of a fundamental analysis of Bitcoin anyway, so let's go ahead and get right into it. We, of course, know that Bitcoin has gotten support at $6,000 many times. We've seen it happen once over here in early February when we bounced off of almost exactly $6,000, almost down to the decimal, right over here on February the 6th. Then right over here in early April, we came down to around $6,500, and recently we've come down and broken slightly below $6,000 and come down to the Hoffman line of around $100 billion market cap and found support there. So what happens if we break this level of support that we have established to be such a very strong and important level of support on the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets? Well, like I said in yesterday's video, that can be summarized in one word. Bad. It would not be a very good day for the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, and I'll tell you why. It would not be a very good day for the day, But also, if we do break it, I think that that may actually end up being a good thing for the long term. And let me show you why. If we come back to 2014 and we look at the 2014 bear market, I hinted at this in yesterday's video. Again, like I said, yesterday's video goes very well with this one. In yesterday's video, I talked about how the Bitcoin bear market of 2014 was basically this price action right here. I changed the color when I was doing one of the course videos today. Let me change that back to white. Basically, the 2014 bear market was this price action right here. And then what I was talking about in that video was the accumulation phase, which was kind of right here. And then the bull market was here on, so something over there. But I also mentioned that this level right here was very reminiscent of $6,000 and kind of eerily reminiscent of $6,000 because we had gotten support here a lot in 2014, and then we broke below it. So what happens if Bitcoin breaks below $6,000? Well, we only have one real bear market to look at for the history of Bitcoin's price action to get an idea of what might happen again. So let's zoom in here and get an idea of what happened here. Well, Bitcoin fell below this level of support at around $300 to $320, somewhere around this region, somewhere around right here. And Bitcoin pulled all the way back down to a permanent bottom of 1,000, excuse me, not 1,000. I'm thinking about the new market, around $165. Boy, wasn't that a bargain for Bitcoin back then. And what it did after that is for about 8 or 9 months, it traded under that level and continually got resistance at it, but it didn't set a newer low. We did see a double bottom down here at around $160, but that happened right after we set our permanent bottom right down here. Now, granted, this one's just a little bit lower, but basically these are equal bottoms, and Bitcoin came down and broke below this. So what I think is going to happen if we break below $6,000 is honestly, I think it's going to be very reminiscent of this, not only just because the market has done this before, but also for a lot of other reasons that I'm about to get into. If Bitcoin breaks below $6,000, I've been saying for months now that if Bitcoin breaks below $6,000, we're heading to $3,000 or $4,000, and I stand by that. I think that if Bitcoin breaks below $6,000, we get a confirmed breakout, we have good volume, we see a lot of people shorting the hell out of Bitcoin, the shorts jump up to the moon, and Bitcoin confirms a break below $6,000, you are going to see panic in the streets like we have not seen since Mt. Gox got hacked, guys. I'm serious. I don't think that we've seen a bigger bad news story since Mt. Gox got hacked. I legitimately believe that breaking $6,000 would be a very, very dramatic and traumatic event. That's what I was trying to say. It would be a very, very drastic and very dramatic event. And if we do break below it, I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. The first thing that I think is going to happen is if we come out here to the weekly chart, then there's a very interesting moving average that's positioned itself well to hopefully catch us, and that would be the 100 daily simple moving average. I'm going to get my oscillators out of here for right now. As we can see, the 100 daily simple moving average is currently sitting around, the 100 weekly simple moving average is currently sitting around $5,300. If we break below $6,000, which is currently our very, very important level of support, the first level of support that I think that we're going to test is $6,300. Let me tell you why I don't think that's going to hold. I do not believe for a second that $5,300 will hold. I do believe that the 100 daily weekly moving average, the 100 weekly moving average, I can speak, is a very, very important moving average. I do believe that. But at the same time, guys, Bitcoin, let's go back and do a little bit of a history lesson here. Bitcoin dropped $1,100 for basically no reason about a week ago. For basically no reason, Bitcoin dropped $1,100. Now, granted, Bitcoin was overextended. It had 4-hour RSI divergence. It was running out of steam. I get that. But there was no fundamental reason for Bitcoin to drop $1,100. It just wasn't there. There was no good reason that that should have happened. Bitcoin has a very good reason to drop a lot if it breaks below $6,000, and I don't believe for a nanosecond that it would stop anywhere below $5,000. If we break below $6,000, we confirm it, and we start seeing a big dramatic price movement like we saw over here when we dropped $1,100. We start seeing some quick movement. Bitcoin, I believe, within 24 hours, probably within like 6 hours of breaking $6,000, will also be testing, if not breaking $5,000. $5,000 is also another very important level of support because that was at one point a very, very well-established all-time high. Right back over here. We can see it right there. That was an all-time high. So $5,000 is another level to be looking at. $5,000 is also a midway point in between $0 and $10,000. So it's kind of a semi-big even when we're looking at the grand scheme of the market and much more big evens. But I will tell you again where I believe Bitcoin will go if we break below $6,000. What we're probably going to see is that Bitcoin is going to drop within about a month, probably down to somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000. I think that $3,000 is an excellent place for it to drop simply because $3,000 was also at one point a big even, or well, it is a big even, but at one point it was an all-time high back over here, and it was a very well-established all-time high, just in the same way that 5,000 and 20,000 are, unlike how like 8,000 was right here. I believe that Bitcoin will be going back to $3,000 or $4,000 if we break below $6,000. I'll discuss in a little bit what the likelihood of breaking below $6,000 is, because, well, I'll just go ahead and tell you. I think there's probably about a 25 to 35% likelihood that, based on where the market is when I'm recording this video, that we break below $6,000. I think that it's most likely at this point that Bitcoin trades sideways for the next several months, like I discussed in yesterday's video. But if we drop below here, let me lay out kind of a scenario of what will happen. And I'm going to talk about something interesting, because if Bitcoin breaks below $6,000, like I said, I think we're going straight to $3,000, $3,000 to $4,000. And if that happens, I think we're going to have our bottom very, very quickly, which is why I brought up this accumulation phase of the last bear market. Here in early 2015, Bitcoin pulled back and set its bottom within 2 or 3 weeks of it actually breaking this level of support that was very important. It lost 50% of its valuation. That's another interesting thing. It lost about 50% of its valuation, pulling back from around $316 to around $160. Well, guess what? 50% of $6,000 is $3,000, guys. We're seeing a lot of similarities between the 2014-15 bear market and accumulation phase as to what we are seeing right now. This looks very, very reminiscent. And if Bitcoin does break below $6,000, which there is a good chance that it will, it would make a lot of sense for it to come down here to $3,000. And if it does, by the way, I think it would be a very, very healthy thing for Bitcoin to do that, because everybody's always talking about one last flush. We just need one last dump to get all the weak hands out of the market. Well, there's your one last dump. I don't really subscribe to that idea simply because I've been seeing that for a long time and it hasn't ever really yielded any results. But if you really want one last dump, Bitcoin crashing to $3,000 will get everybody to leave the market. Not everybody, but that's going to make a lot of people leave the market. Volume will crash. The market will probably just stagnate, and not die, but stagnate for the next 6 months or so. And I think what will happen if we do that, then we're probably going to enter a long-term accumulation phase like we saw down here in 2015, and probably on through the middle part of 2019, we're just going to be trading sideways. That's what happens if we break 2000. Can I speak? That's probably what's going to happen if we break below $6,000, is that we're probably going to be crashing down to around $3,000 to $4,000, trading sideways for probably north of 6 months. And then when we get back above $6,000 in accordance with the things that I've laid out in another video, which you can watch in the top right, in accordance with those technicals, Bitcoin may be getting above that level of $6,000, and around that time, it could probably be starting a new bull run, probably sometime in 2019. But I'll go ahead and wrap up with our technical analysis here and say that I do believe that within a year from now, Bitcoin will be back in a bull run. It's just a question of how that bull run is going to happen and how it's going to materialize and what kind of price action we're going to see leading into it. Are we going to break below $6,000 or not, guys? Tell me in the comments section down below what your opinion is. I know we have plenty of bears in the comment section, and you're not totally wrong. I really don't necessarily disagree with you. Like I said earlier, there is a pretty decent chance at this point that we will break below $5,000. Another reason is because we've just come down here 5 times. We've put a lot of importance on this level of support, and it really needs to hold. If it does break, it would be catastrophic. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get on to the news. Gemini dollar tied to US dollar approved as world's first stablecoin. That approved thing is very, very interesting. We're going to talk about that in just a second. I'm just going to go ahead and read from the article here, as it is a rather short one. You guys can come and type this into Google, or if you join the CryptoJeb Discord server, go to the Auto News channel. We have a bot there that posts news articles automatically, and this is where I got this news article, so go there and you can find that. It was posted by the time you're seeing this, probably about 16 hours before this video goes live. Anyway, move over, Uncle Sam. The Winklevoss twins Gemini Trust Company is rolling out Gemini Dollar, a regulated stablecoin that lets users send and receive US dollars on the Ethereum network, the New York-based company announced on Monday. This rollout is hailed as a key step to increasing trust and economic activity in the volatile crypto industry. And that key word right there is trust, because we do have a stablecoin right now. We do have a big stablecoin, that of course being US Dollar Tether, is number 8 here on CoinMarketCap. It's worth close to $3 billion, and we see a lot of trading volume. Just about every single exchange, if it doesn't have a US dollar trading pair, it has a US Dollar Tether trading pair, because you have to have the ability to trade over US dollars in some manner, whether that be through Tether or US dollars itself. And one of the problems with US Dollar Tether is, well, there's 2 main problems with US Dollar Tether. One of the biggest problems is that it's not very trusted. There has been a lot of scandal around US Dollar Tether. There's been a lot of things having to do with their accounting and their auditing. I'm not going to get into all of it in today's video, but just know that there is a lot of scandal and there is a lot of mistrust around Tether, and not necessarily with bad reason. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it today, but there is a lot of problem with it. And personally, I don't use US Dollar Tether, not because I'm worried about Tether, but, well, not only because I'm worried about US Dollar Tether, mainly because I'm more interested in my Bitcoin value than my dollar value. But a lot of people do use Tether. Tether, and it is a very, very big cryptocurrency, and it is a very big cryptocurrency partially because of the second problem that we have with Tether. And the second problem I have with Tether is that it's centralized. I mean, guys, this is cryptocurrency. The entire point of cryptocurrency is to be decentralized or to have some kind of, well, a decentralized ecosystem. And one of the biggest problems with Tether is that there's no competition for it. If we were to use monopoly laws, we could get rid of Tether. I'm joking, of course, but Tether is essentially a monopoly on the idea of a stablecoin in the cryptocurrency space, not through necessarily malicious intent, but there's basically no other stablecoin that can compete with Tether that has anywhere near the adoption value that Tether does. And Tether plays a very, very big role in the market. That's why it's number 8 here on CoinMarketCap. Now, of course, we do have True USD. If we scroll way the hell down here, if we look way down here, then we're going to see True USD somewhere down here. That's another stable coin, but it can't hold a candle to the adoption that Tether has. And that's one of the big problems that I have with Tether, is that with all of the things that have been talked about with Tether and with all of the sketchiness that is surrounding Tether and the Bitfinex situation and everything, let me propose a hypothetical to you guys. What happens if Tether goes down? What happens if Tether vanishes and $3 billion worth of market cap vanishes from the market, and a lot of people get screwed and lose a crap ton of money? I'll tell you what happens. The market crashes below $6,000, which is why I wanted to talk about Bitcoin going below $6,000 in accordance with this news article, because if Bitcoin Tether does crash, if US dollar Tether does crash for whatever reason, I'm not saying it's going to, I'm not spreading FUD, I'm just saying that if it does crash, then Bitcoin, I guarantee you, I don't guarantee you, but with about a 99% certainty, based on where Bitcoin is trading right now, Bitcoin will almost definitely go below $6,000, and it'll be very, very bad for the market. And that's really not where we want the market to be. And of course, I am going to get into the rest of this news article in just a bit, but I want to make this point about Tether. And the point about Tether is that if Tether goes and implodes, it's going to take the rest of the market with it. One of the big problems with the 2014 bear market and the 2015 bear market was not necessarily fundamentals. Of course, we were massively overextended. Bitcoin had run from like $120 to like $1,200 in the span of 2 months. An even bigger run than we've seen this year, or last year, I should say. But one of the big problems with the 2014-15 bear market was a fundamental issue. Mt. Gox got hacked. That was one of the big catalysts for the bear market. In fact, you can see the candlestick right here. This candlestick where Bitcoin went down to $100 on Bitfinex back here happened because of Mt. Gox. Bitcoin crashed, and that was the main catalyst for the bear market. One of the reasons I'm not so convinced that we're going to go below $6,000 is because we haven't had one of those big catalysts. But if Tether does go down, for whatever reason, like I said, there's no news article right now that's saying that Tether's going to go down. There's no fundamental thing that I know of that's saying that Tether's going to go anywhere. I'm purely stating a hypothetical. If Tether goes down, it's going to bring the rest of the cryptocurrency market with it, and it's going to kick a lot of people out of the market simply because they're going to be tired of it. And that's one of my problems with Tether, is that there's too much power in the hands of Tether, because if Tether does turn out to be a scam, it is going to be extraordinarily bad for the market. Now, with that out of the way, let's continue on with the news article, because this is an interesting development nonetheless. Cameron Winklevoss, co-founder and president of Gemini, wrote in a September 10th blog, "When we founded Gemini over 4 years ago, our mission was simple: build a bridge to the future of money. We must improve the linkage between these worlds by giving fiat currencies the same desirable technologies and qualities of cryptocurrencies." Now, I'm not going to get really in depth on how this stablecoin that they're proposing works, because we just don't have time in today's video. We've already talked about a lot, but I am going to be continuing and talking about basically the basics that this news article outlines. I do encourage you guys to go and do more research on this, because this is a very interesting development, and I would like to see more exchanges like Gemini go down this path. In an ideal world, what I would like to see is each exchange having their own, not necessarily federally regulated, but some kind of regulated stable coin that can compete with Tether, because I'm not a big fan of the idea of every single exchange losing a gigantic trading pair like Tether if Tether does go down for whatever reason. So props to the Winklevoss twins for doing this. Investors buy digital coins like Bitcoin, but these have qualities of a volatile asset. That's one of the biggest problems with getting cryptocurrency adopted, is that you don't want to give, you don't want to be a businessman and take Bitcoin and then it crashes $1,100 like it did a week ago, and you lose out on your margin, because that would crash you below your margin. You would have lost money on whatever you sold, more than likely. That's one of the biggest problems with cryptocurrency adoption, is just how volatile the market is. In contrast, Gemini Dollars introduces commercial buy and sell transactions by behaving like traditional money. A stablecoin lets people buy and sell goods at predictable, foreseeable prices because it's pegged to the US dollar. And that's another thing. You can't go anywhere and buy anything with US dollar Tether. As far as I'm reading here, and as far as I'm aware, Gemini Dollar is going to act very similarly to other cryptocurrencies, in the same way you might be able to go out and buy something with Litecoin. You may be able to go out and buy something with Gemini US dollar, Gemini Dollar. The quote from Tyler Winklevoss right here is definitely interesting. Kind of surmises everything that we're talking about here. Building a viable stablecoin is much more of a trust problem as it is a computer science one. The Gemini dollar is the first stablecoin in the world that has solved both. That's the innovation here from our white paper, and then this sends you over to his Twitter. We're, of course, going to go back to the news article for right now, though. According to Cameron Winklevoss, Gemini dollars have 3 key features. It's issued on Gemini, a New York trust company, and is pegged strictly 1-to-1 to the US dollar. Of course, it's a stablecoin, so the last one is pretty obvious. But it's built on the Ethereum network in accordance with the ERC20 standard for tokens. The Gemini dollar ticker symbol GUSD combines the creditworthiness and price stability of the US dollar with blockchain technology and the oversight of US regulators. That's another big thing about this, is that it is actually being overseen by the New York what was the name of it? It's by a institution in New York to actually keep an eye on this, and actually they are going to have they're not going to have federally regulated. They're going to have state regulation put on them, and they're going to have oversight put on this so that you can be a little bit more certain of what's going on behind the scenes with GUSD, which is the ticker symbol for this, than you may be able to with Tether, because of course there have been problems with auditing with Tether in the past. But anyway, guys, tell me in the comment section down below, what do you think of my analysis of Bitcoin going below $6,000? Would that be just absolutely catastrophic for the market like I believe it would be? Do you agree with my sentiment that we could probably see the bear market extended by several more months? Do you think we'd see an accumulation phase? And also tell me what you think about this news article. What do you think about this GUSD? And what do you think about my idea that more exchanges should go and make their own stablecoins? Because I would very much like to see every exchange have their own stablecoin rather than there be one centralized monopoly stablecoin like Tether, which could bring the entire market down with it, bring the bear market into an even worse state than it already is, or just completely screw over a fledgling bull market that we may be seeing form here in the next year or so should Tether go down. Anyway, guys, as always, I love reading your comments. You can also join the Discord server and come talk to me in person if you guys are interested. By the way, if you are interested, there is a link to join Binance down below. That is the cryptocurrency exchange that I use. I do all of my trading on Binance, and I do stand by Binance. If you sign up with the link down below, not only will you be getting access to an amazing cryptocurrency exchange. I really do like Binance. They have a great user interface, etc., etc., etc. You will also be helping to support this channel by doing so through no expense to your own. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!